thought the best way to talk to you today about the transition that we've been seeing in digital would be to kind of go back to 2011, which was my first experience at CES, which Julie was talking about, the Consumer Electronics Show. And I went again several years, but I was here this year. Back in 2011, we were talking about the connected home. We were also talking about coffee warmers and theater projectors and wireless charging stations for your new iPhone, okay? That was just 7 years ago. Today, we're talking not just about smart homes, we're talking about smart cities. And it's evolved to the point where we're looking at, how do we have renewable energy? Just the technology has changed. They're saying if we are using as a city 10% renewable energy today, we'll be using 90% by 2030. And I think that's just remarkable and at the speed of change that we're seeing. Your daily commute will no longer be about driving. It'll be about doing work. You can use that as productive time. You can talk on the phone. You can work on your computer. You can take a conference call. You can bounce a basketball. You can do anything you want in these smart cars that are going to take us to work. Virtual reality was a big conversation this year. If you watched the Olympics, I don't know if any of you had a virtual reality headset, but you would actually be able to experience the Olympics as one of the athletes. So can you imagine having that headset on and feeling like you were coming down the mountain and doing all those flips and turns? So that's where we're at. And it's going to be interesting to see how that technology evolves into our marketing space and how can we use that technology to kind of enhance that. Augmented reality is another technology. I've worked with this somewhat, and I think this is going to be a big player in the next year or two. It really can help expand the shopper's experience in terms of their store navigation. They'll be able to see how a product functions. We can do tricky marketing things where you're standing beside Iron Man in store and you can take a picture with it. So there's different things that we'll see coming out, I think, with that. What's driving all of that change is really the processing power. I said processing, it's processing power in the United States. I'm Canadian. So the processing power is really evolved, and that has allowed us to take zigabytes of data and compress that and in real time and be able to come up with these new technologies. So artificial intelligence, augmented reality, virtual reality are all really coming into mainstream media. What we're doing with that in our world is we're taking billions of signals from phones, computers, iPads, wearable tech, and we're picking up those signals, and we're actually able to see, that you go to a dog park every Saturday, so you must have a pet. We're able to see that you have, we know your household income, we know your demographic, we know that you're Hispanic or African American, we know that you have a purchase history of this type of a product. We even know what you're going to buy because we can see things that you're clicking on, and we can then respond to that from a marketing point of view. When you work with a company like Smart Media, we're there to help you to sort through all of those questions of what technology should we be using, how do we use programmatic media, what platforms are there out there, and what are the best practices, really. So from my point of view, we need to really, and you've heard a lot about this, it's the insights are key. And I've seen very little of it. I work with suppliers across all kinds of categories, and I really haven't seen many campaigns being set up based on what the sales team is trying to get done with their buyer. And we can actually structure the campaign, if we do it right from the beginning, to figure out the insights that we need, which will help equip you. Your ad stack and the creative are really important, and that's changing a lot. The connectivity of the campaign components, I still hear about campaigns being run where we haven't put a tracking pixel on a social media post so that we can retarget it with an ad that will link them to a coupon. So we need to get the connectivity happening, and we also need to be more considerate of the right platform at the right place. Video is not the answer for every single product that we need to market. And Facebook is not the only platform that we should be thinking about when we're looking at social media. So we have to be very considerate of the different ad opportunities to deal with it. So what this comes down to and what that looks like is, you have a shopper. You may be traded in 20% of the highly traded Hispanic stores. But when we run the campaign, we might see that 50% of the clicks on the ads are coming from Hispanic shoppers. Well, you take that data point back into your buyer. Now you're having a very different conversation. You can actually make a pretty good case that you should be traded in all highly traded Hispanic stores. So that's what we're looking to do when we run an effective and a smart media campaign. We also need to look at the creative. How many of you have run a campaign recently with maybe 1 or 2 sets of ad creative? Has that, yeah, 1 or 2 sets? Yeah, it's happening all over the place. Okay, so, and I see a lot of this too. What Karen mentioned, an ad stack of 300 different ads, that's gonna be commonplace. We're gonna definitely see that more and more of that in the coming years, because through connected media, we actually can segment the audiences, and we can anticipate and create and respond to those audience segments with the appropriate messaging for that audience segment. These 3 ladies may all buy the exact same brand of shampoo. They also, you might use the same foundation from, the same brand, but we need to talk to them differently. They're in a different place. Their messaging and what they care about could be very different. So when we start a campaign in digital, we look at it from a very broad level. So we start broad and we start to narrow it down. We might start to see, a prevalent click-through rate on people with a higher household income, which can be interesting. We might see that younger Hispanics are really responding to our ad. But we also might see who's negatively engaging with our content. We might see that new moms, which was a segment group we were looking at, are not engaging. And maybe we thought we would hit that market, but we're not. So we need to adjust on the fly, and we need to change our creative. We do that not just because it makes more sense to your ad spend. It's what she wants. That shopper expects for you to talk to her in a way that makes sense to her. She wants to see the same color skin in the ad. She wants to see people who are relatable in the content in social media. I know Marianne and I talked about a post that was, a Walmart influencer, but she was sitting on a beach in a high-end bikini and a big floppy hat. That's not necessarily an image that portrays our shopper. We need to be relevant in the space that where we're using it. We also can get a little bit more compact in how we target. We can change the media according to the time of day. So your coffee ad might look one way early in the morning, and we're going to change it up so that it's different by the afternoon. We also can dynamically adjust it according to weather. So if it's, you've got targeting moms that are on a soccer field in Florida and it's over 70 degrees, she'll get an iced coffee ad, whereas if we're talking to the mom in Montana who's still in her mukluks and parka in April, we'll send her a hot coffee ad. So we can respond, and that all happened in the same day at exactly the same time. Okay, so we're able to respond to their environment. We look at the barriers to purchase as a part of our creative process and a part of our digital process. And we need to understand what the barriers are and how we're going to solve them. Do we need to inspire? Do we need to educate? What is the purpose that we're going to use this media for? Social media is fabulous for doing both of those things. Video content is a great way to display and inspire people, educate people on how to use your product. If you've got, a baking product, you might want to show them how to make cupcakes. And the end result is fabulous. You get some really, really great content. And what's nice about this is you can use that content in so many other ways digitally, where you can put that on your item pages on Walmart.com. You can take that content and you can use it in print if you want to. You can have a handout at a demo that has all these inspirational images on it and a recipe on the back. You can do, you can use these in your programmatic media ads. These images would be far more engaging sometimes than what the brand is going to show you. So looking at connectivity, I think, is the other big important piece. I alluded to it a little bit earlier. But connectivity of the program, you need to look, first of all, are your item pages up to snuff? Because if they're not, save your money. It's not time for you to run a media campaign yet. If you're driving people to an item page that is not fully optimized, that doesn't tell the story and answer the customer's questions, when she gets there, save your money. It's not time to run media. We need to get those right. Social media needs to have a pixel on it. Every single social media post needs to be pixeled so that we can retarget with programmatic. When we do that, and I know, Karen, we did this on one of the Tyson campaigns, we put the pixel on the social media post, which was, once that shopper engaged with it, we retargeted her with a learn more message. Not save, learn more, and we got 10 times the click-through rate on that banner ad, which is really what we're trying to do here. We're trying to create an ad stack that follows her path to purchase. And our programmatic media ads, if you can, put a pixel on the brand page. You know why? Because if we put the pixel on the brand page, we get audience data that we are now off to the races, and we've got lookalike audiences that we can create much quicker. We can also look at, that's enough about that. SMS is another format that I find really useful. Many of the companies, I know Scose is doing this, I know we can do SMS text from a demo point of view. We can put, if you want the recipe, text Tyson to 12345, and you'll get a recipe link on your phone while you're standing in the store, so we can sell that particular item in a recipe. We can also do sampling programs where we're texting people post-sample, okay? Think about that. Like, what if you texted me a link to an Ibotta offer? I see Chris sitting there. After I got the product in a sample at home, how much bigger would your return be? How many more people could you convert when you actually set up a path to purchase? Our customer doesn't follow a path that's the same. It isn't navigational by anybody's standards. It's not a linear process. It's quite diverse, and we need to be ready to intercept her all along that path to purchase at multiple junctures with effective media at the right time in the right place. So to kind of roll this all into one, Marianne, can I bug you for my water bottle? Because I am like dying up here. I'm sounding like an 80-year-old crow. Thank you. Thank you. Canadian crow. Yeah. Okay, so case study. Cool opportunity came up with, well, not so cool for them. Breton Crackers had been delisted in all but 400 stores for their gluten-free cracker and down to about 1,000 stores, I think, with the multi-grain cracker. And he was in trouble. And, the good news for me was I only had a $40,000 budget to help him. And he came to me for, help with a digital program. So what we ended up doing is we set up a program. We partnered with Tyson. We had their meets. It was a summer campaign, summer entertaining. We did some social media. We created content around entertaining. We put that content onto a Pinterest board. Tyson spent a lot of money driving to that Pinterest board with programmatic media. We did a little bit with what budget we had, but we created an ad stack with 3 separate ads. We had one ad stack that was gluten-free conversation, one which was multigrain, and then we had one that was a joint offer, both products showing, buy 2 and you saved with Ibotta. So we had an Ibotta part of it, and we also were driving back to the item page. So the point here is that it's not necessarily that you have to have a whole bunch of complexity. This was a very simple campaign and a very inexpensive campaign, but it all talked to each other, and each layer leveled up the other tactic, right? So each piece made the other tactic stronger. And in the end, we ended up with an 80% sales lift on those crackers over the 4 weeks of the campaign, which was huge. I mean, they were pretty low, but they came up significantly. And we had a great story to tell the buyer, because we could see from the media campaign that we were engaging that gluten-free shopper 5-to-1 over the multigrain. So bringing that back to the buyer, he ended up getting that product relisted in all 4,700 Walmart stores, which is the big win, right? Like, that's what we're here for. We're here to sell more to Walmart and then help them move it off the shelf. And so with all of that in mind, I know there's a lot there. There's a lot of tactics you need to think about. What's the right tactic? What's the right platform? How am I best going to message those shoppers? What sequence do I want to set up my ad stack to engage her? What distance do I want to deliver ads at from the store? And so it gets pretty complicated, but you can work your way through it. You've got great resources in this room. Your sales team you work with your vendor partners should be able to help you create the kind of campaign that'll win at Walmart. And that's my story. Thank you. Question? Okay. You got a question? Mm-hmm.
If you're the brand,
yep.
doing the advertising, but you're reliant on Walmart data back on their website, their pixels,
right.
How do you make that work?
Yeah, there's, I know with some of the CSPs, the content service providers, they have the ability to pick up and read where the traffic is coming from. So they can see if it's being pushed by social media, from digital, like programmatic ads, or whether it's organic. So the answer is, I'm not an expert in that. Who sits on an e-commerce desk here? Where's Joe? Is Joe here from Campbell's? Okay. So does anybody know that? Well, what do you do from the vendor side when you're a supplier? How do you follow up to see what the traffic was on your item pages? Nobody? Okay, so I know from the White Spider crowd, at the very least, when you sign up with them on their monitoring, their monthly monitoring, you'll get a report monthly that tells you where the traffic is coming from. So you'll be able to see the effectiveness of your campaign. The White Spider crowd is a content service provider. They were here, they were sitting right over here, and they have their ability to help you monitor and track your traffic on your item pages, and also write good content. That guy right back there, that handsome fella right there, White Spider. Yeah, you're welcome. That'll help there. Does anybody have any other questions? Okay, well, thank you very much for putting up with me.